Good morning, Coach Jay. Good morning, my fellow classmates. So now, before we will start our topic, I'd like you to introduce you first, my fellow members. First is Mr. Ralph Lawrence Felix. Second, Miss Gian Clarice Ramos. And the last but not the least, Miss Ridzma Jawali. And I'm Maria Angela Cotton, the little teacher of Study Hub number 7. So now we will discuss the topic 4 about the factors affecting child development.
In this video, we will learn about prenatal development, Prasava Purv Vikas, and factor influencing prenatal development. प्रसव पूर्व विकास को प्रभावित करने वाले कारक। प्रीनैटल डेवलपमेंट, प्रसव पूर्व विकास, कॉन्सेप्शन टिल बर्थ, धारणा से जन्म तक, दैट इज इन 9 months. Prenatal development is divided into 3 periods. प्रसव पूर्व विकास को 3 अवधियों में विभाजित किया गया है. The first one is period of ovum, also known as germinal period, जीवाणु अवस्था. Second, period of embryo, गर्भावस्था. Third, period of fetus, भ्रूण अवस्था. Period of ovum, जीवाणु अवस्था. Conception of 2 weeks, or we can say fertilization till implantation, निषेचन से आरोपण तक. We will discuss this period in just 4 easy steps. First, ovum is fertilized by sperm to form a zygote. Second, zygote undergoes several initial cell division to form morula. Look at the diagram how single cell divide and become 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell and 16 cell morula. एक सेल डिवाइड होकर 2 सेल ऑर्गेनिज्म बनता है, फिर 4 सेल एंड 8 सेल एंड इन द एंड 16 सेल, जिसे मोरुला कहते हैं. नाउ द थर्ड स्टेप इज मोरुला अंडरगोज सेवरल इनिशियल सेल डिवीजन एंड बिकम हॉलो बॉल कॉल्ड ब्लास्टोसिस्ट. अब मोरुला डिवाइड करता है और ब्लास्टोसिस्ट बनता है. ब्लास्टोसिस्ट दिखने में कैसा होता है? अंदर से खाली या खोखला. नाउ द फोर्थ स्टेप, ब्लास्टोसिस्ट इम्प्लांट्स in the endometrium of uterus or uterine lining and starts developing. So this period ends when implantation happen. Period is period of embryo, garbhavastha, from 3rd to 8th week after conception. Blastocyst internal cell mass grow and become rigid. Now it is known as embryo. The embryonic period is short but major organ form during this stage. It is characterized by extreme rapid development of CNS, central nervous system. The heart is the first functional organ to develop in the embryo. एम्ब्रियोनिक स्टेज में मेन 2 घटना घटती है. फर्स्ट, ऑर्गन फॉर्म होने स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं, मतलब ऑर्गन बनने लग जाते हैं. सेकेंड, ब्रेन डेवलप होना स्टार्ट हो जाता है. इट इज़ ऑल्सो नोन एज क्रिटिकल स्टेज. Now this is the table which is not so important for nursery teacher exam, but for nursery teacher notes or for gaining deep knowledge, this table is helpful. Next period is period of fetus, bhruna avastha, from 9th week till birth, marked by development of bone structure. Starting में ही bone structure दिखने start हो जाता है. इससे ये पता चलता है वो कौन से पीरियड में है, पीरियड ऑफ फीटस में. दिस पीरियड इज कैरेक्टराइज्ड बाय ग्रोथ रेदर दैन फॉर्मेशन ऑफ न्यू ऑर्गन. इस पीरियड को ऑर्गन ग्रोथ या ऑर्गन डेवलपमेंट और ऑर्गन रिफाइनमेंट के लिए जाना जाता है, रेदर दैन ऑर्गन फॉर्मेशन. नाउ लुक एट दिस टेबल हाउ फीटस ग्रो फ्रॉम 12th वीक और 3 months टिल बर्थ. फैक्टर्स इन्फ्लुएंसिंग प्रीनैटल डेवलपमेंट, प्रसव पूर्व विकास को प्रभावित करने वाले कारक. एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर, मैटरनल एज एंड हेल्थ, मैटरनल फिजिकल एंड मेंटल स्टेट, nutrition, drug or alcohol intake, environmental pollution. Second, genetic factor or hereditary factor. Hereditary disease, sex, ling, physical features, color of skin, eyes and hair, shape of eyes and nose, and so on. Mother's age. Age factor matters a lot. Reproduction organ of women who are less than 17 years are not fully matured, and hormones required for reproduction are not at optimal level. After the age of 35, hormonal activity gradually decreases, which may lead to complication. However, women at the age of 40 run a sharply increased risk of having children with chromosomal abnormality, for example, Down syndrome. Maternal health disease. Mother's health condition affect fetus. Mother who suffer from anemia, diabetes, heart ailment, endocrine disorder, and any infectious disease are likely to affect the fetus. It is very important to get routine checkup during pregnancy. Maternal nutrition. As we know that growing fetus food supply comes from the mother's blood. The fetus develops in the womb of mother and is nurtured by mother's diet. The child receives its nutrition from what the mother ate. Hence, nutrition diet is very important for proper development of fetus. These were important factors. That's why I discussed briefly. Now, in next video, we will discuss about development domains and development milestones. I hope now all of you have understood the concept of prenatal development and factors influencing prenatal development.
Piaget's theory argues that we have to conquer 4 stages of cognitive development. First, the sensory motor stage. Second, the pre-operational stage. Third, the concrete operational stage. And fourth, the formal operational stage. Only once we have gone through all the stages, at what age can vary, we are able to reach full human intelligence. 1. The sensory motor stage, ages birth to 2. In the sensory motor stage, we develop through experiences and movement our 5 senses. Our brain wants to see, hear, smell, taste and touch as much as possible. First, we start with simple reflexes, and soon after we develop our first habits. From 4 months old, we become aware of things beyond our own body, and then as we get older, we learn to do things intentionally. A key milestone is the development of working memory, or in Piaget terms, our realization of object permanence. Before that, our mum can show and then hide a teddy, and we would think it's gone. After, we understand that objects continue to exist even when we can't see them. We start becoming curious about everything. We want to smell flowers, taste food, listen to sounds, and talk to strangers. To explore more, we move. We learn to sit, crawl, stand, walk, and even to run. This increased physical mobility consequently leads to increased cognitive development. But we remain egocentric, meaning we can perceive the world only from our own point of view. 2. The pre-operational stage, ages 2 to 7. Our thinking is mainly categorized through symbolic functions and intuitive thoughts. We have lots of fantasies and believe objects are alive. As we are not able to apply specific cognitive operations, Piaget calls this stage pre-operational. We learn to speak and understand that words, images, and gestures are symbols for something else. When we draw our family, we are not concerned about drawing each person to scale, but rather with their symbolic meanings. We love to play pretend, which allows us to experience something new and learn a lot. At around age 4, Most of us become very curious and ask many questions. We want to know everything. We can call it the birth of primitive reasoning. Piaget calls it the intuitive age, because while we realize that we have a vast amount of knowledge, we have no idea how we acquired it. Our thinking in this stage is still pretty egocentric. We think others see the world like we do and still don't understand that they see it differently. 3. The concrete operational stage, ages 7 to 11. We finally discover logic and we develop concrete cognitive operations, such as sorting objects in a certain order. One example of this is inductive reasoning, which means that if we see someone eating a cookie, we can draw a conclusion and then make a generalization. And we now get the concept of conservation. We understand that if we pour orange juice from a normal glass to a taller one, the amount stays the same. Our younger sister will pick the taller glass, thinking she gets more. By the same logic, we only now can understand that if 3 plus 5 equals 8, then 8 minus 3 must equal 5. Our brain learns to rearrange our thoughts, to classify and build concrete operational mental structures. For example, we now know that we can reverse an action by doing the opposite. Excited by our new mental abilities, we apply them in conversations, activities, when we learn to write, and in school. As a result, we get to know ourselves better. We begin to understand that our thoughts and feelings are unique and not necessarily those of others. That means that we learn to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. 4. The formal operational stage, age 12 plus. Once we become teenagers, we become formally operational. We now have the ability to think more rationally about abstract concepts and hypothetical events. Our advanced cognitive abilities allow us to understand abstract concepts such as success and failure, love and hate. We form a deeper understanding of our own identity and our morality. We now also think that we understand why people behave the way they behave, and as a result, can become more compassionate. Our brain can now do deductive reasoning, which means we can compare two statements and reach a logical generalization. Our new mental skills allow us to plan our life systematically and prioritize, and we can make assumptions about events that have no necessary relation to reality. We can now also philosophize and just think about thinking itself. Our new sense for our identity now also creates egocentric thoughts, and some start to see an imaginary audience watching them all the time. Piaget believed in lifelong learning, but insisted that the formal operational stage is the final stage of our cognitive development. Jean Piaget's first interests were animals, and he published his first scientific paper on albino sparrows in 1907, when he was just 11 years old. In 1920, he began working with standardized intelligence tests. He realized that younger children consistently make types of mistakes that older children do not. He concluded that they must think differently and spent the rest of his life studying the intellectual development of children.
Shape us very early in life and continue to reflect throughout our lives. For example, a child who sees his parents expressing disapproval through anger learns to express his disapproval by being angry. Our environments mold us and help us shape our realities. It is difficult to completely control the environment, but teaching social and emotional skills can really help in bringing up happy and well-adjusted children. Just imagine if you had been taught early in life about various emotions that can be felt. The difference between positive emotions and negative emotions. The ways to cope up and regulate the negative emotions. That would have definitely made us emotionally stable. What about teaching that people can have different perspectives and opinions which might not conform with our viewpoints? That we need to embrace diversity and be empathetic towards others. That would have helped us form positive relationships and resolve conflicts much easily. What if our children knew how to overcome adversities in life, and they were just not asked to be confident, but were really taught how to gain that confidence? Social and emotional skills can be taught and practiced. On the contrary, we see that mental health problems are on the rise, and studies say up to 50% of mental, behavioral, and psychological problems have their onset during adolescence. Children are filled with anger and frustration. Low self-esteem results in their underperformance. On the extremes, we see suicides, teenage violence, and child abuse. Global Happiness Policy Report 2018 reveals about well-being in schools through positive education interventions will produce both academic success and happiness. So, social and emotional learning has become an important part of the curriculum around the globe because social and emotional learning is critical to student success in school, work, and life.